Well, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 18 of the Stage Racing Podcast. Sorry about our inability to record last week. Things were a little crazy on the home front for both of us in two completely ends of the spectrum, which is kind of the part of the course for Cody and I in our personal lives here recently. But we won't go into all that on this podcast. But we were just talking. I'm happy Cody's wearing his Chase Elliott shirt. We'll get to that. So I can't just wear my Denny shirt all the time. He finally gets to pull out the old number 9 this year. But anyways, man, how are you? How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling great. Yeah, great weekend for racing. I'm pretty stoked. But other than that, I'm doing great. How are you?
And I've been better in some senses. But honestly, no, I'm doing okay. Um, things may end up being a blessing in disguise. We won't go into a whole lot of it, but we'll just leave it at that. The things I've learned is when you ask for things, you have to go with how you get there, no matter how the journey may go. So, anyways, from a racing standpoint, man, gosh, Sunday or Saturday night was just like an injection of testosterone running through my bloodstream watching that race. I was like, felt like I was a kid. Like it felt like the 90s. Again, watching that. We'll save that for stage two, but overall, I'll just say, and the good race poll backs this up. I looked at it earlier. 90% of people think it was a good race. Don't know what the other 10% people are thinking. Probably a bunch of Larson fans who were mad that he got in a wreck and never had a chance. But then again, it's a drafting track. He never had a chance to begin with. Um, yeah, just a beautiful weekend. But let's jump back stage one here, and we'll go over Pocono a little bit. Pocono was a little opposite of what we had this past weekend. um, I mean, shout out to Briscoe getting his first win at JGR. He's been knocking at the door. He's had great qualifying runs all year. We've talked about it on some of our podcasts. Just wondering when he was going to break through. Overall, your thoughts on Briscoe? Happy for the guy. Me personally.
Yeah, no, I was super excited for him. I mean, he went out there and took it. He's been qualifying really well the past month. So I think, like you said, he was knocking on the door. He was due, and we talked about it in the pilot episode that he was probably going to win one this year in some JGR equipment, and he talked about that a little bit about not overdriving the car or having to
Hmm.
realize that the equipment was better. So yeah, just shout out to him for going and snagging that dub.
Yeah, and honestly, I think what was so impressive for me is the fact that he screwed up his pit stop. He almost found a way to not get it, but somehow or another managed to save fuel and get it to the end when his team told him he was 5 laps short. And somehow he made it work. Congrats to
He
him.
pulled a Joey Logano.
He pulled a forward move out of a Toyota. The old eco function must have been working in his Toyota Camry the other week. That's for sure. But I'll say overall, my thoughts on Pocono, as impressive as it was to see Briscoe get the fuel mileage, it was very unimpressive the fact that he was saving fuel and the few cars behind him were not, and they could not catch him. Um, so I was a little unimpressed with the race last week. I voted no on the poll. I don't know what you voted. I know you didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. But at one point it was getting good. Like I texted y'all, I was like, okay, this is gonna get good, and then it just kind of stopped. Like, I mean, Pocono's kind of a one groove racetrack to an extent, anyways. But you usually see really good runs on the straightaways that allow these guys to kind of, use their momentum and use the draft to get around people. It just didn't happen this week. So I don't, or not sorry, not this past week, 2 weeks ago. So what did you think of Pocono? How did you vote on it? I guess.
Yeah, so I voted no on the poll. I went back and watched the highlights, and then went back and watched like the last, I don't know, 30 laps or so of the race just in by itself. And I mean, I came away just unimpressed. I mean, I know the previous pod when we talked about it, I was really excited for it because typically it put out some good racing, but it was just kind of nonchalant, just going through the motions. It felt like and I get it's different, like Briscoe won, but it just something felt off. And I think you're right. It's just where you feel like the cars that at the end that weren't saving couldn't pass. It's kind of the same old song and dance we've talked about till the
Yeah.
cows come home. So I don't know. It was really odd. It's fine. I mean, I get Atlanta and Pocono are entirely different, but it's just really funny how we can go from one week to the other and
Junior
get
to
those two
one of the
completely
best
separate
races next
products.
gen. Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. And this car, it just seems to do that.
Yeah,
And, like we've harped on this car a lot, but man, I sit back and I'm like, I take 1,000 foot view, and even as much as we've talked on here, we're not fans of Logano, but I heard him talking somewhere not too long ago about a lot of people crap on the next gen car, but he thinks this is one of the best products we've ever had because the racing's so close. You're not seeing now Mexico is a little different story, but you're not seeing guys completely run away with it like you did in the past. And I get his argument. I think what I think is there's potential here to have one of the best products that NASCAR can put out. But they gotta fix it, and there's a lot of work still to be done. I think
yeah.
with the car, which we've gone into many details on this. So has everyone else. We're kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But when you only have one pass for the lead under green, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. I mean, I just think back to the first Martinsville race with the next gen car back in 2022 spring. Now, mind you, the weather was absolutely crazy for that one. Like it was snowing and sleeting before that race started, and it was a night race. But there were no passes for the lead under green in that one, and it was a snooze fest. I mean, I left that race early, but and I imagine some of the people in Pocono were sitting here just kind of like waiting, like what is it that meme where it's like the dude, the little stick figures, like
Do something.
do something, do something. Like, yeah, I imagine that's what they were
Yeah.
doing. Or I think of The Incredibles when the little kid sees Mr. Incredible get out of the car and he's like, "What are you looking for?" He's like, "I don't know, waiting for you to do something incredible." Like, that was kind of how I felt when I was watching Pokemon. I was like, I'm just
Sold
waiting for
out, and they were sold out too.
it was sold out. They had a good crowd, and honestly, like. It's the first snoozer we've had at Pocono in these cars, so maybe it was just one of them things. There's a lot of factors that could have gone into it.
Well,
Um,
we had a lot of hype for Kansas and stuff,
and it wasn't the
um,
greatest.
some of the races we've had some high expectations for this year haven't really turned out to be what we thought, and so it's kind of weird how that's following that trend here in the last 2 months. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
We'll just have to wait and see.
beggars can't be choosers. I mean, look, it's just what it is with sports. You're gonna get really good games sometimes when you think it's gonna be good games, and other times you're gonna get snoozers. Like it just is what it is. But it's just God, the car's just so inconsistent. I think is what makes it the hardest. Is you just like you said, you never really know. It's kind of the Forrest Gump approach. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get when you're out there, and um, that's not what I want when I watch my NASCAR, man. To an extent, that's not what I want. But yeah, I think the other biggest thing from Pocono we hadn't talked about is, and of course, after we finished recording our podcast from Mexico, this broke. But Dale Jr. was the crew chief for Connor Zilic at Pocono, and Jr. took his car home with the dub. He didn't do a whole lot as the crew chief, and he even admitted that as well. But he was there and he spoke into it, and um, definitely go back and listen to the Dale Jr. download from after that one. He talks about it a little bit more. It was really cool to hear it, but he got into it, man. He's all about it. Junior's just the kind of guy to me where it's like if he goes into something, he just goes. He's fully in. Like he's not just a warm seat up there. He was fully into. So it was really cool to see him do that, and I know you enjoyed watching that as well.
I did. I mean, he was on the pit wall helping change tires. Like, he still had the
Skeleton gloves
skeleton
on
glove, had the skeleton gloves on, baby. So no, I thought that was really cool to see, and it was just like you said, he talks about it. When he's in something, he goes all in. So
Mhm.
he wasn't just gonna sit up there and talk on the radio the whole time. And
Nah,
just
and
how
go ahead.
cool of a year has it been for that guy? To make the 500 with Allgaier, to have to talk to those cats after Martinsville, to now sitting on the pit box and going and getting a dub with a rookie driver.
Mhm.
Man, that's just, I mean, I love it for Junior. And then of course being on Amazon Prime. So I mean, big year for him.
Yeah, and then the documentary with his dad that was
Documentary, yeah, how could I forget that?
I mean, I don't know what kind of awards a streaming documentary can win, but it needs to be nominated and needs to win a few. I don't understand how that whole thing works, but it's deserving. Um, Yeah, but like you said, he goes full in. I mean, this is the guy we're talking about that has an iPad dedicated to his NCAA
College
college
football.
football 25 team. And so, yeah, he's fully invested. I understand what Kyle Busch said about it. Kyle Busch took some heat, and I don't think it was rightly fair for what Kyle was saying. It was completely out of context the way it was cooking. But I think Kyle probably could have scaled it back a little bit. Like Kyle knows Junior well enough to know he wasn't going up there just to look pretty for the cameras. Like,
And he actually came out afterwards and was like, I'm not
yeah,
specifically talking about Junior. So he backtracked a little bit about it, but it was just, I think he's just trying to save it a little bit because I mean, Junior Nation, how dare you say that? So
just when they were warming up to Kyle, man, just when they were warming, he had to go remind them, I'm still Kyle Busch. So,
that's right.
well, I think that'll put a wrap on stage one. But anyways, that set the no pun intended stage for this weekend in Atlanta, and this has been an intriguing race since they reconfigured this track, and it just keeps getting better. The more that track wears out, the better it gets, and this weekend was no exception. If I'm asking for anything from this track, is let these guys practice some, man. Like I hate how they're doing that with all these super speedways and drafting tracks, I guess is what they call them now. It's just they should be able, and I think some of the early carnage might have been prevented if they got to practice a little bit. I know there was some pushing going on, probably when it shouldn't have. I get that, but I mean, these guys are firing off. They're either tight as all get out, they're loose as all get. Let these guys get a little time on the track, man. Like I don't feel like we're asking for too much here.
Nah, I mean, you already give like what 20 minutes usually, which is not a lot. So I
Right, and
mean,
then
now
we
you're saying,
get qualifying.
yeah, now you're saying like, oh, I can't even get that on Atlanta, which like we talk about is going away from yes, it's still a drafting track, but little by little each time is going away from that. So it's like let the guys practice,
Hmm.
like so.
Every time they come there, and I mean, you got to think now. So they race there in the spring. It gets hot. They come back. The track fades some more. Now just think of, and especially how hot it's been across the South here recently, of where that track's going to be when they go back in March next year. Like, is completely different than how it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever. Yeah, 2 days ago. Today's Monday. Um, so yeah, I mean, just give them some time. Is I think all of them would be. We're not asking for what they used to have. I mean, technology's come a long way. They get sim time. They don't need all that, but let them get out there with their teammates and do a little bit of drafting and see what they got, see how their car works, and in a little bit of traffic. I don't think we want their cars to be completely perfect, but they should be a little bit
If they
better than they are.
want to, I mean, if they don't, I mean, just limit them in practice, like, hey, 10 cars at a time or, something like that.
Yeah, split them like you normally do. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what they do every other week. What's the?
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm sure they have some cost cutting method as to why they do this, but as we all know, the numbers show that there is very little, if any, cost cutting that has
Yeah, we're gonna
occurred
cost
since we
cut,
switched
but
to the next gen.
we're gonna cost cut, but we're gonna total 20 cars in the process. Sure.
Yeah. Um, but anyways, all right, let's get off of that because the only note I have here really for this, we'll have a few others, but is Atlanta, what period a period race period. That's what I put on our Facebook page here after that one was done. That's what I was thinking. Man, it was incredible. I mean, we alluded to it in the introduction. It was like 90s drafting out there. Like, yeah, it started out they were on each other. And then you had the big wreck, which I think is what made the product better later on is the fact that 23 cars were essentially gone out of the mix, give or take. I mean, there were a few who got back out there, like Hocevar and Larson and a couple others who were able to make a little something out of it. But um, it made them space out a little bit, and it just that's what created just those beautiful runs. I mean, my gosh, dude, Chase Elliott put on a clinic like something you would see Earnhardt do years ago. I mean, he was in what fourth or fifth place with 4 or 5 to
Hmm.
go, and he
Hmm.
was able to come up and win. We've never been able to say that about
In
a
this
driver
car.
in the next gen in this car. We haven't been able to say that. You don't get it at Talladega. You don't get it at Daytona. I don't know why. They need to figure that out. But you get it here at Atlanta, and it's a thing of beauty. I mean,
I
I'm
think
texting you. I'm like, this is fantastic.
it was unbelievable to see. Um, you know, I think the runs they were able to get, I think some of it maybe contributed to, you don't have those super long straightaways like Daytona or
Mhm.
Talladega where they're kind of topping out and they're kind of hitting like as soon as they're able to get that run, they're going to the turn, they're able to kind of dive bomb in there, hold that
Instead of
down and then,
completely gone, yeah, like it would
yeah,
be if
so
I don't one of the other ones.
yeah, so I mean, but it was great. I mean, I think I speak, of course, for 90% of people that have voted on the poll that, it was a good race. I mean, it's probably the best race we've had this year.
I think
Um,
I think so. I think the second best was probably the 600 that we've seen so
yeah,
far.
yeah, the
Uh,
600 was good. The way Ross came and did that, and finished that race, that was really good. Um, but this, I mean, just the way it was the way that any the top four, five, six cars that could just get up there, get in that little pack, and then just kind of pass one, pass two. Yeah, you needed some help, as Chase showed that from Alex Bowman to so Brad couldn't come back and pass him at the end. Um, but I mean that's racing. But ultimately it was fantastic. Like you said, I agree with you. It was like seeing the air, and being able to go where you needed to go to make the pass, and um, it was very reminiscent of the glory days, as we like to call it. So
yeah, I mean,
um,
guys had to make split second decisions, and if they didn't, they had to pay for it. I mean, look no further than Tyler Reddick. He had a chance to go to the inside on Kozlowski and get himself up there, and he didn't do it, and he ends up falling back. And I mean, he was there. He had a car
he
good
had the
enough to win.
freshest. He had the freshest tires too, and I think that
Yeah,
was something to be said, and we may get into it later. But the fact that Chase was kind of shooting himself in the foot at the restart because then they were like, we're not going to pit, we're going to stay out, we're going to just, we're going to live with it. And then it's the restart. I mean, he fell back to like sixth,
yep.
sixth or seventh, and then Reddick all of a sudden he just blasts through the field with him and then Stenhouse I
And
think
how
had the penalty or whatever. But then here comes Stenhouse, and it was like, oh my gosh, like here's the guy with the new tires. They're up there. I told you I thought Stenhouse was going to be the one to win it, and
dude, I was rooting for Ricky too because
yep,
before his drama with Carson, he had had such a good year. Honestly, he was deserving of making the playoffs. And I was kind of hoping he would win and get in, as much as we don't like to win and get in. But I was like, man, I kind of want it for this guy.
hmm
But yeah, I mean, he had a strong car there at the end too, like you were saying, and just kind of unfortunate how it worked out for him.
yep. So
But
I just think it's crazy, like you said, dude. Tyler had the fresher tires, and it's just amazing. We haven't seen that very often in this car, where guys with older tires, even in clean air, sometimes aren't able to hold off the guys with fresh tires. And it was just really, really strange how it happened here. And like you said, if they went and raced that race today, it'd be different than it was 2 days ago. And
it's a
so
track.
it is, and
It's a
I'm really excited to see. And I may regret it next year, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm really excited to see what next year's going to hold. And I don't know, man. Like, put this race on July 4th. I mean, just back it up, a week, or you know, or finish this. I mean, I know people want to say not finish the season at a drafting track or whatever. But I mean, this track keeps wearing the way it is, and we can kind
yeah.
of get more of this. I mean, please. I mean, I'm not opposed.
I agree with you. I think in the time being we could compromise to say put it on July 4th weekend. Look, it's already weird enough not having Daytona on July 4th weekend for
Yeah.
old school guys like you and myself. Like, I mean, gosh, I can just remember so many nights on vacation with my families growing up, and there's like 10 or 15 of us in the den of the house we rented out watching Daytona July 4th weekend. So it kind of sucks not getting that. We're all going to the beach this coming weekend, and um, it won't be the same crowd in to watch the street race at Chicago. We'll probably be catching as much as we can on our phones down at the beach. It's just not that nostalgia. It's not that drive, to want to go watch it. But yeah, I'm with you too. I'm not ready to put it at the last race yet.
Yeah.
Um, let's see how this thing ages out over the next little bit. Whatever kind of asphalt mixture that they went with for this one needs to be noted, and it might need to be used when they repave other places. Now, some of it is the mixture, some of it is the fact that it's the Devil's Bathtub down there where that track is located. Um, So it's probably a mixture of the two. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm with you. Like, I never want to speed up time. We both have children, so never want to do that. Some days we do, but most of the time you don't. But I'm like, God, man, where's this track going to be in 5 years? What kind of like? All I can just sit here and think is like, they probably won't be pack racing as much in 5 years, but them being able to hold it wide open and they might start getting two or three different lines at this thing is exciting. Like, there's potential for Atlanta to become a very good track
Hmm.
over the. I mean, it already is, but the fact that it could get better is exciting.
Absolutely.
Anything else from Atlanta? I mean, we'll talk about the in-season tournament here in a minute. But did you have anything else you want to add?
No, no, I don't know what else more there is to say.
I want to try to pull the old in-season tournament up right now so I can see the bracket. Give me a full bracket, man. I don't want to
I'm
see it.
gonna tell on myself, but I haven't even, to be honest, I haven't even looked at it other than the whole, other than hearing about the whole Ty Dillon, you know,
And Denny,
big, yeah. I mean, and then
yeah,
he had some grace on his pod.
that was hilarious. I mean, look, I'm glad Denny recognized it because
Yep.
that was hilarious for him to do that in the spur of the moment. If you missed it, Ty told all the Denny fans, which I guess is me, that he knocked out our favorite driver, which was I laughed pretty hard at that. That was pretty hysterical with that one. So as we enter the final stage for tonight, let's talk about that in-season tournament. Coming into it, I know we didn't get to talk last week and make any picks or anything like that, but we weren't a huge fan of the ranking system. I'm still not a huge fan of the tracks that they've picked for this, but everything is going how NASCAR wanted it to. They've gotten upsets, they've gotten chaos, which is exactly what they wanted because it gets people talking, it gets the people going. In the words of Will Ferrell. So, um, yeah. And the biggest upset, of course, being the number one overall seed, Denny Hamlin goes down to Ty Dillon. And look, coming into it, I was like, I mean, we didn't get talking here, but I'm thinking personally, I'm like, this is a toss up because Ty Dillon usually runs pretty good at these types of tracks. Denny here recently hasn't ran very well at Atlanta, like Talladega and Daytona, he still does pretty good at, but Atlanta not so much. So honestly, if I was filling one out, I probably would have picked Ty Dillon to beat him completely, just completely honest. And Dillon was beating him before Denny wrecked out anyway, so it's not like, yeah, that's the biggest upset. I think some other notables. John Hunter Nemechek over Josh Berry. That was going to be a close one. Of course, I think Berry got caught up in that big wreck.
Yeah, he did.
You have Eric Jones over Ross Chastain. Chastain again, victim of the wreck. Ricky Stenhouse over Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell caught the carnage. Noah Gragson over Chase Briscoe. Again, product of the wreck. Same for William Byron going down. I mean, you lost some really big drivers. Actually, let's just. I think it's really easier to say which drivers are knocked out as compared to going to see which ones
Yeah.
are still in there. Denny Hamlin's gone. Kyle Busch is gone. Logano's gone. Barry's gone. Ross Chastain's gone. Christopher Bell's gone. Briscoe's gone. Byron's gone. Blaney's gone. Larson's gone. Um, let's see. Cindric's gone. I mean, that's some big names. Like we're staring down. I'm just going back and looking at the people who've gone through that you would consider a big name. Um, Reddick, Chase, Bubba. I guess is Keselowski still a big name? I don't know. I mean, he's a champion, so I guess you got to say he is. And then Alex Bowman. Um, look, I'll be honest. For who's left and the way he's been racing, I think Alex Bowman might win this whole thing now.
I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past Keselowski. Last 3 weeks, he's been really good.
Yeah, the road course though I think is what's gonna work. The road courses in there, two road courses in there. Unfortunately for let's see, did Van Gisbergen get through? Oh no, Van Gisbergen wasn't in it. He
He
didn't
wasn't in
qualify
it.
for it. Never mind. Um, I'm thinking of road courses and I'm seeing guys in it like um Dinger. The Dinger got through. He'll be pretty good coming up on something. He's gonna be a tough out. I mean Reddick usually runs fairly well at road courses. So just Ty Gibbs. It'd be hilarious if Ty Gibbs ends up winning this thing and doesn't make the playoffs. That would just be hysterical. Is this enough to keep him off the hot seat? I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, look, say what you want to. We didn't really like the way the seating worked for this, or necessarily the tracks that they choose from, but it's created drama. It's got people talking at a time of year when ratings can dip, interest can go away. It's the same thing with the NBA did. You get some interesting teams in that, but yeah, I mean, I think so far it's been pretty good for them. Let's just fix the seating next year. I think that's what most everybody would think. Your thoughts on the tournament so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't mind, changing the seating and changing maybe the schedule just a little bit. Um, maybe not start with Atlanta,
Maybe not
but
start with Atlanta. That would be.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, of course, a lot of upsets. It's like you said, that's what NASCAR wanted. I mean, June Madness, I guess, and June and July Summer Madness, I guess we can call it.
Dude, if you
For,
could you imagine if opening weekend in basketball had the equivalent upsets that these have had? I, Madness wouldn't even be the word. It would change to March Insanity if you had something equal to this. I mean, when you really look at it, who
yeah,
lost? It would
and you're
be
talking
crazy.
to a guy that's experienced that.
Yeah, as a UVA fan, look, I can't even say anything because y'all turn around and won it the next year, so it doesn't. It's not as much as it was. How about a Purdue fan? Because they had to experience it and they didn't quite rebound like you guys did. Although they did
Yeah,
make the championship, but
they
they
did,
still
but
came up
we
short.
won't, but we still want it. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, no, um, I think I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to give us some intrigue. Um, hopefully in a time of year where all sports, everybody's kind of like, what are we doing? It's summer. Everybody, you got baseball and you got NASCAR right now. So,
that's it.
hopefully this can bring enough intrigue to pull some viewers and, kind of see what's going down. And I wonder how it's going to go. Funny story, I don't know, I sent you Ryan Blaney's tweet about
Yeah,
the accident, and he was like, "Oh, thanks for reminding me."
yeah,
And so I fully expect something from Blaney at some
yeah.
point.
He might get Hocevar a little. He might rattle his cage a little bit if he
Yeah, I
so,
mean between Ricky and Blaney, I mean, and the rest of the NASCAR field. It's funny. I saw a meme where it was like Carson Hocevar under a desk, like smoking a cigarette, and like the rest of the NASCAR teams like looking for him or whatever. And I'm just like, whew, man, he's not making any friends right now. So,
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think I think the in-season tournaments turning out to be a pretty decent thing. Like you said, we just fix the seeding. I think it'd be a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think for the first year, this is okay to have upsets like this in the first round. But if you want this to continue to go, listen, NASCAR. I know you're probably not listening to the Stage Racing podcast, but if you are, hear me out on this. First year, this is cool. If we want this to keep going, your stars need to make it and not get on a track that's just at some point you got to have a little luck involved. Started out with a little skill so you get your big names there toward the end. Now, this is the first year. It'll be fun to see some of these guys who aren't getting as much attention get a little bit of attention, but as this goes, you need your bigger names getting there. So maybe take the wild card of a track like Atlanta out of it. Um, would that again? I'm okay with it this year. I just think it's something that you got to keep in mind. Um, all right. Well, hey, look, silly season is upon us. If you don't know what silly season is, it's when you start seeing the rumors of what drivers are going where. I'll ask you first. If you had to think of drivers, now this is across all three major um, series that NASCAR does, Cup, Xfinity, trucks, who do you think might make a move up to Cup next year and shake things up a little bit?
Do I just give you just one, or can I give you more than one?
Give me a couple. Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this guy endlessly the last 2 months. So Corey Heim is my number one.
And by the
Uh,
way, he kicked everyone's tail at Lime Rock this past weekend in the truck race. I mean, my
a man
gosh.
just put a man just puts on a show. So I'm really excited. I hope.
He led
Go
every
ahead.
single lap but one. And even then, no, 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 sorry, he led every single lap. There was one lead change, and it was on a restart where Riggs just barely nosed him out at the line and restart. Like I don't even know if you can really count it. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. So I don't know. I'm super excited. I think that guy just needs to go ahead and make the jump. I know I said a few weeks ago I'd like to see him in that next series, but you made the comment about I don't think he gets there. I think you're right. I think he's going to get to make that jump, and I don't know how. I don't know what's going to happen with Hurst, but we'll see. I think Zillage ends up making the jump next year somehow, some way. I think he ends up being up there. Um, you know, now, are we talking just a jump to Cup, or are we talking just jump in general?
Yeah, I would just say, who do you think you see in Cup? Because you never really know what you're going to get on Xfinity and truck level.
You don't,
Um,
because I was going to say Caruth probably goes to Xfinity, probably.
yeah, I could probably see
Uh,
that
you
because
know,
he's had a pretty decent year in trucks this year. I mean, he had a
yeah,
win, but he's been pretty consistent too.
yeah. So I mean, he's been down there for what 2, 3 years now. So
Yeah,
I
something like
feel
that.
like he'd probably move. But anyway, um, those are probably my two biggest ones that I feel like are going to probably make the jump to Cup. Um, I s- I know we talked it. I'm still kind of back and forth on this one. Is if and when Junior decides to make a Cup team, is he going to be Allgaier? Is Allgaier going to retire? Is Allgaier just consider himself an Xfinity lifer pretty much?
Hmm.
So is that Zillich, or is it Allgaier? Is it somebody else? So I don't know. But those are probably my two biggest names. I know you probably got some others.
No, actually, you hit the two I was thinking of. Here's the wrench in the whole system for this year that I don't think people are talking enough about. Is what is going to happen with this lawsuit. And this lawsuit isn't till December. So normally this time of year you start finding, I mean, it was this time of year last year we found out Briscoe was going to the 19. This is the time you start seeing these things, and this lawsuit's probably got people doing a lot of wait and see because let's just say that um, it, things don't go right for 2311. I mean, even in the next couple of weeks we could find out they might lose their charter. Like, does NASCAR have the legs to start moving these things around during the middle of the season? And if so, man, that throws everything off. So I think it's a lot of wait and see. Um, I think somehow another Zillage ends up in Cup. I could see him maybe going to the 7 on a loan. I saw a tweet about that tonight, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Haley has not done well at Spire this year when McDowell's done okay. Hocevar didn't start the season well, but he's come on strong as of late. Minus all his antics, he's driving really well right now. Um, I could see Zillage maybe doing that. At some point, Zillage is coming. It really depends if Trackhouse is ready to turn their back on Suarez. Um, and it might be one of those things that they give Suarez through these next couple of road courses to see if he's going to get a dub. And if he doesn't, then it might be all she wrote. Um, yeah, I think Zillage makes a move. It's just a matter of where. Corey Heim, I've always said that you should probably give drivers more than 1 year to prove themselves, but Herbst has been awful. I mean, he's one of two cars to not finish in the top 10 at least once this year. Um, that's bad. Especially, I mean, look, I know he's the third car at 2311, but you got a good enough equipment. You should have had a top 10 finish somewhere by now. Um,
The
so
fact that the
yeah,
fourth car with that driver we're talking about finishing the top 15,
yeah.
yeah,
When he was just a fourth car that was just literally pieced together, and was running well at Nashville before he had his mistake where he didn't listen to a spotter. Yeah, I hate it for Herbst, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the move. But again, I think a lot of this has to do with what goes on when the lawsuit, when the dust settles from all that, and it's rather dusty right now. I'm on that front, so I don't really know what to expect. I mean, depending on how that goes, charters could be all over the place. Um, who knows? I mean, let's say that doesn't go well and NASCAR just throws the hammer at 2311, which would be stupid. Now, I know 2311 started this and the front row did too. Like, I get that. NASCAR probably wants to make a point. But if you do something stupid enough to drive Michael Jordan out of this sport, that's dumb. Like, all right, you can be mad that they went this and y'all can not be the best of friends, but NASCAR's got to make a business decision on this too in some way. And one of the richest men on the face of the earth, one of the biggest known superstars of all time, you can't run him off from your sport. You cannot do it. Um, So we'll see what happens with that. But I think that's playing a lot into it. I think that's why you haven't heard a lot of stuff because kind of wait and see. It could be one of these years where it's like that trial comes and goes, finishes up before Christmas, and you're seeing some crazy moves going into January when you're about to get ready for the Clash. It could be interesting.
Hmm.
Um, for sure. It'll be wild to see. Um, but anyways, street race, year number 3 for the street race coming up. Maybe the weather's going to be good for once. It'd be nice if it didn't rain for once on the Chicago weekend. I still want to see that place without rain. I think it's the same thing when we had the dirt at Bristol. It's like they could not get good weather, so you couldn't get a good grasp of things. Um, Maybe this weekend we get it. I don't know. History would say we won't, but your thoughts on Chicago?
Yeah, no, I mean, um, I don't know. I haven't been a big fan of that since we've had it, to be honest. I don't. I think the timing when we had this race hasn't been great. I think the first time it was really cool to see, but I felt like it was sort of just a one-off thing for NASCAR,
Hmm.
or should have been a one-off thing.
Well, buddy,
The race,
it ain't going nowhere. I don't believe.
no, it ain't. It ain't.
It might be leaving from
It's
Chicago, but we're getting a street race somewhere every
it's
year. I
terrible
believe.
that Chicagoland's just sitting over there and grass is growing up in there and just it looks terrible and it's not being used because it's a great facility um, with some really good racing, and we're over here racing in the streets, so and having teams having teams watch videos to tell the difference between firecrackers and gunshots. So um, that's
Where have we? Hang on. How far away has NASCAR got away from its roots? The fact that now you're teaching teams how to tell the difference between firecrackers and gunshots. If they would have tried to show that to some of the rednecks that worked on these teams in the late '80s and early '90s, they'd have been like, "Nah, let me tell you the difference between a firecracker, a firework, and a gunshot. We're talking calibers. We're talking whistle doos. What does he say on during Joe Dirt? I can't even ain't got
oh
it.
god, we'll have
Roman
to play
candle, auto
um,
rockets. Let's just name it all. I'm sorry, I just went off complete tangent, but that just got me thinking. That's hilarious. The fact that
or what is it, Daisy Doos and Daisy Don'ts or something like. Oh God, I will have to. Uh, oh
you're
God.
about to
Anyway,
fire up Joe Dirt in the next couple of days. I know what you're about to do, but yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm with you on that one. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it because it's different. I just want good weather for it, man. Like, I mean, the rain tires are cool and it's a different strategy and seeing how they do that, but can we get one where it's dry? Like, please, can we just get one where it's dry? I want to see what these things do. But yeah, I think this is the last year at Chicago. I don't think it's the last. I mean, San Diego kind of seems to have the momentum behind it right now as far as where they'll do the street race next year, and which would be interesting. San Diego's new market that they haven't hit. Um, you know, pretty cool little area. But I'm with you. Let's bring Chicagoland back. We can still hit that area. Maybe you gained enough momentum now, and you bring that back, and that track would probably run fantastic with this car too. So yeah, we'll see. I like it, but I can tell you one thing: I'm not leaving the beach on Sunday to go in and watch it. It's not intriguing enough for that. There's few courses or few tracks on the schedule right now that would pull me to do that. It's definitely not one of them. I'll pull it up on my phone from time to time while we're on the beach and watch it. But yeah, well, I mean, it's intriguing, but again, with the Clash, it's kind of losing its newness, if you will. Um, but if Van Gisbergen goes out there this weekend and just dominates like he did at Mexico City, it's gonna be like I think people are gonna be like, all right, got to give me something else here, man.
yeah. I mean, it's either him or probably Alex Bowman are probably your two favorites because they've won it both times. Um, Ty Gibbs is probably my other favorite for that, but we're gonna get to
Yeah.
that. But yeah, no, I'm over it. I mean, I was kind of over it after last year, and like I said, I haven't been super impressed. It was cool when SVG won it the first time. You're like, okay, like this
Mhm.
guy's come in, he's done his thing. Like that was a really cool story. Um, but I just, for me, I'm a little salty because, like I said, I think Chicagoland's just sitting over there, and you know,
I
you
don't
just got
disagree with you.
some.
I
Yeah, you
mean, we
just
got
have
a few
some really
tracks
good
over
races.
there that's just not. But then again, I don't know. Everyone, I mean, Hostamar keeps saying Chicagoland's coming back. He's pushing it, this, that, and the other, and he
Yeah, he
might
said
have
that
some
the
insight on
other
that. He
day.
might end up being right. But that track needs some work, boy, before they bring some people in there
I
after
saw
seeing
a
his
I saw
video.
a TikTok video of some people that went in there, and there was old ambulance in there, old fire truck in there. Like, it was pretty cool to see. Definitely needs some work for sure. But
But
I mean,
I don't think it's anything you couldn't knock out, a couple months, get it back up.
no, it'd be easy to knock that out in a couple months. If you're seeing all the stuff that they've done to, we've seen North Wilkesboro, we've seen Rockingham, and granted those, took years, but still,
Mm.
you can't tell me that Chicago can't get this done in 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Well, anyways, I mean, we got a good race to look forward to. Next week, we're hoping to record. I'm going to take the old tripod with me on vacation if I can just find somewhere to record since we normally record at night. I have to scope out the house that I'm working with. We'll see what we got there. So don't hold your breath on us getting a pod out next week. We'll see what happens. I might make Cody take his lunch break at some point and we record or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know if you get a lunch break at your new job or not. I'm sure you get some kind of a break. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry for missing last week. And yeah, Chicago coming up street race this weekend. I'm not going to give my picks. You pretty much named three people that we're going to have. I mean, it's a road course. You pretty much know who you're going to have in it at this point. But anyways, man, appreciate the time this evening. As always, it's fun talking fast cars and left turns with you. Um, and I'm still just so happy that you wore your shirt. You remembered to do it. I didn't even have to text you and say you better wear that 9 shirt. So probably going to be a little while before I get to bust out the 11 shirt with the looking at the tracks on the schedule coming up. But it's coming back out at some point this year. I feel it. I feel it. We're getting past 3 wins this year, man. So
Feel it in your plums.
get it down deep in my plums. Let's get off here before we get kicked out. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.